What's up everyone, it's your man I Do It Barber, and I'm back with another haircut tutorial. And then this was supposed to be a part of a 3-part package in one video haircut tutorial where I show my old system versus my new one. But I looked at it and both sides on this one took this same amount of time, so I felt that it was irrelevant, but it was still good enough to give you guys in a tutorial form. So as you saw there, I had the MBs with the lever slightly open, and I created my first initial guideline. Now I'm coming in right underneath that with the 5-0 blade, and I'm balding out underneath. Now the reason I didn't decide to put this on here, like I said, one, because both sides took the same amount of time, so as far as the theoretical aspect of it, it was irrelevant there. But the funny thing, what really got me distracted and made me take longer, we were actually watching Street Beats. So you could probably see he's watching something and I'm watching something too. So we were watching Street Beats and we were actually talking, so it kind of slowed me down a little bit, and it kind of, it messed up the original purpose of me recording this video. But nevertheless, the fade came out good, so I figured, I can show this to you guys. So with the 5-0, I'm just balding him out, making sure I get it extra bald, and I'm gonna come right underneath that with the shaver. And some people can take the shaver and some people can't. It just depends on the skin type, and you ultimately want to ask the client, do they suffer from razor bumps or ingrown hairs or things like that? If so, you probably don't want to get this close, but with him we get this close, and it just adds an extra layer to the gradients of a fade. It just adds a little bit more contrast, and that's what I like. Of course, the haircut lasts an extra day or two, and that's always a benefit to the client. So now I'll take my Slimline Pro-Alize, and I'm just buffing out a line that may have been left with the shaver. Now this is, on this side, this is my old technique. So you get to see two different fade systems on one haircut. This is my old system. So now I will come in and create a 1-inch bar with my MVs with the lever open. So as you see there, boom, boom, boom. I'm going all the way to the back of his head, and I'm retracing that guy back to the front just to make sure the hair is removed thoroughly, and to also make sure that the 1-inch bar that I created is even. Now that 1-inch bar doesn't necessarily have to be completely even. If you watch some of my videos, you will see that I may make it one length through the side, but in the back the bar gets a little bit thicker or bigger. Now I have the lever halfway open, and I'm going about 3/4 of the way into this guideline, and you should start to see the bottom line lighten. Now you can work from bottom to top or top to bottom. That the preference is ultimately yours, and that's just whatever you want to do, whatever makes you more comfortable. That's ultimately what I tell people. Whatever makes you most comfortable. You can try and work identically to as I do, verbatim, like boom, 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 copycat style, or you could just take a few pieces of what I have to offer and make it your own. And that's ultimately what it is. So the lever is almost open. You can see right there in this temple area, the line's pretty much gone. But as it goes to the back, it gets darker and darker and darker. And that's typically what you can expect when fading someone's hair. That hair in the back just gets darker and darker and darker. I cannot explain why. Do not ask me why. I wish I had a solution to that problem. But as I said earlier, that is why sometimes you will see me expand the bar in the back when I'm creating the 1-inch guideline. It might get a little bit wider in the back. That is so I can give myself more room to fade. Or if you don't want to do that, all you have to do is just compress the blend a little bit more. Just go up a little bit higher than you would on the sides. Simple solution, simple fix to sometimes a difficult problem. So you see that area? Well, I'll talk about it later. And there's one area there that gets a lot of people problems, and that's that transition area before you get to the back. So now, if my memory serves me correctly, okay, this looks like a 2-blade. I can't quite remember. Typically I would do a 1.5, but this looks like a 2. Yeah, this looks like a 2, especially for how high I'm going into the fade. Yep, exactly, that was a 2. So now I have the 1.5 on. And see, this is what I meant, because I made a video talking about 5 tips to getting good at fading. If you want to know that video, go check it out. It's in a playlist, barber game playlist. But knowing what each clip, guard, blade, whatever does to the hair at any given moment in time, this is what really helps you in getting better once you know what does what to the hair. So like I was able to just really look at what that blade was doing to the hair, and I could tell you that that was a 2 blade. Typically I do 1.5, but I could tell the gradients of his hair, it didn't look like a 1.5. It looked longer, which was a 2, and I was correct. So now I have the wall half with the lever open, and I'm going up into that, and you can see that that line that was created there is, it's kind of weird. It's actually almost gone just by using the wall half with the lever open. Now, of course, I'm going to close the lever. You can see in the back there, it gets darker and darker. That's just typical, but pretty amazing. Like we just started doing the drop fade on this client, which is, it's kind of cool because, you know, it's different from what he had before. He had more of a mid fade. It didn't drop in the back. It just went straight across. So it's pretty cool. And if you're curious, on top, we did a 7. I'm not going to show you me removing his hair on top or doing the edge up in this video. This was really more to focus on the fading aspect of hair. So as you see there, I'm dealing with the little lumps and humps right there as it transitions. You see that little hump right there? When you're doing someone's fade, you got to really pay attention to that little area because it can really throw off the balance of the fade, because it's literally, you're creating those straight lines, right? And then you have a hump that grows through the line, which is going to create a shadow and a dark spot. Now, when the hair is this low as his, you can go up a little bit higher to remove that shadow. But if you have someone's hair who's longer in that area, you're going to sacrifice the silhouette just to chase the shadow, which is not good. Which I think I have a tutorial last week. If you look at my tutorial last week with the Asian guy, you will see what I did there. And actually in that video, you actually get to see both of my fade systems side by side and to see which one is faster. That was actually the other video that was going to be a part of that package. But you can go watch that video. I'll try and leave links to all these videos that actually, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave links to all these videos in the description, and I'll pin it for you guys, so I just make it real easy for you. And if you like any of the products I use in this video, that will be linked in the description below. So you see I have 2 clippers in one hand, so I know, like, I see something that needs my attention with the half, and then I know I see something that needs my attention with the 1.5. So I'm going to come back in. So I'm over here because, of course, I was trying to work in a timely manner, but since we were watching Street Beefs, we got real distracted watching these ass clowns, these guys that don't know how to fight to save their lives. I don't know if you guys ever watch Street Beefs. If you want to be entertained by people that don't know how to fight, go watch Street Beefs. It's on YouTube. So I'm coming back in, and now I'm just doing some detail work. Just keeping it very simple, using most of the corners. I'm not trying to use most of the blade. You can see I'm pretty much floating. I'm doing a lot of floating. I'm not applying a bunch of pressure to his head because, of course, I want to be careful. There's not much that needs to be done, so that doesn't require a lot of work, right? So if you're detailing, and you can tell by what needs to be done in your detailing if it needs a lot of work or not, based off of how it looks. So this one, you can see that little area was done. I actually started cutting his hair before I pressed the record button, and I was like, oh my goodness, I almost ruined this entire video. So I had to turn the camera on and then get back to recording. So on this side of my fade system, you'll notice I'm initially, instead of putting in the guideline with the clipper flipped over and slightly open, I'm starting with the lever closed, and I'm creating a, if you will, I'm creating a guideline. I'm putting my guideline in with the lever closed instead of putting it in with the trimmer or the 5-0. So in this manner, I put it in with the lever closed. I'm coming right underneath that with the 5-0 blade, and I'm gonna come right underneath the 5-0 blade with my my Braun Series 7 shaver. So it's basically like you put in a 1-inch guideline with the lever open, then you go halfway and closed. Same thing I'm doing here with the bald level. I'm putting it in with the lever closed, coming right underneath that with the 5-0. If you don't have a 5-0 blade, you can use your trimmers. It's like pretty much the same equivalent because mine is 0 gapped, and then you're coming right underneath that with the shaver. But if you don't use the shaver, you could just put it in with the lever closed, and then come right underneath that either with your 5-0 or your trimmer. So that's the manner that you need to work in if you want to do that. And I kid you not, guys, it saves you a bunch of time. I've done a couple videos of me showing my new system versus the old one side by side, and it's unanimous. The new system saves me tons of time. And I guarantee you guys, it will save you a bunch of time as well. Because typically before I would have to struggle with that bottom line. And you'll see that if you go watch, like I say, it will be in the description, or not in the description, in the comments. Look at the first comment that's pinned. You'll see what I'm talking about and how much struggle there is with that bottom line, because a lot of people struggle with the bottom line. And I really want to make this easy for you guys. I don't want you guys struggling with the bottom line, because, you know, you shouldn't put it in that harsh. And of course, it shouldn't be that difficult to take off. And also, I have another video that I made called setting up your tools properly. This is a key component in fading and getting faster at fading and getting better, is setting your tools up properly. If your tools are not set up properly, you're going to have the hardest time. It's like swimming upstream. You do not want to do this when you're fading. You don't want to make yourself work harder than you actually have to. So right now you saw the lever is halfway open. If you're keeping up, if you follow my videos for a while, you will know the process. I start big, work my way small in pretty much all scenarios. So now I have the lever almost closed, and now you're going to start to see that bottom line start to disappear drastically now, because of course I put it in with the lever closed. So there really shouldn't be any problems. That's the benefit of putting your guidelines in with the lever closed. You won't have much problem removing your guideline. And of course, pretty easy, as you see there. And you see, like, I'm pretty much on this one, I'm using pretty much the entire blade. And I can do that because I've set myself up for this. I've set myself up. Typically, like, you would use the corners, right? Because you want to be careful. You don't want to raise the line. But I work my way down in such small increments that I can use the entire blade. See, like, now I'm using the corner, and then now I'm using the whole blade. So it's really, you have to have a feel for this. You have to have a knack for what needs to be done. And you see there in the front, there's a little line, and I'm just going to take my Slimline Pro Eliza, and I'm just going to use the corners to remove that. And sometimes that happens. You know, you might go a little bit higher than you need to. And, you know, if that's the case, just go in and fix it. Very simple. So now, again, it looks like I'm using the 2 because the hair is still pretty dark through there. So I'm going to work my way from the 2 all the way down to the wall half to remove this line. And I made a discovery cutting his hair once that it's better to work from the 2 down instead of the 1.5 down. So as you see now, 1.5, and I'm going right underneath the 2. So you could probably see that line that the 2 left, but I'm working right underneath that with the 1.5. And I'm gonna make a video too one day about fading down. It's a very good technique. I use this technique actually on a few clients where it's a little bit quicker in some scenarios, and some people like fading down because, hey, there's no risk of removing a line. But however, you can create lines by fading down, because you may go into a zone that you shouldn't be going into, which that is a risk of fading down. You know, you create lines by accident, you know, unintentionally. And as you see, I'm just working my way down with that wall half. And my intentions this year for you guys, like to help you guys learn and get better, I really want to bring some of my best work to YouTube. I was having this conversation with someone, and I also had this thought to myself that my best haircuts are not even on YouTube. Like, my best work, you guys don't even get to see it. You'll see more of my better work on Instagram. So if you guys like these videos and things like that, cool. But like you'll see like some of my better work on Instagram. So that's one of my missions for this year, is to really bring you guys my best work. Because I'll look at some of the haircuts on YouTube. I'll be like, yeah, I could have done better here, or you know, because some of these clients, actually a lot of these clients, I cut their hair all the time. And I'll notice when I cut their hair, like maybe for YouTube or something, I'm like, man, it looks better when I regularly cut his hair. But it is what it is, you know, as long as you guys can get the education out of it, that's the most that I'm really hoping for, is that you guys get the most benefit out of the educational aspect of what I'm teaching you about cutting hair and the theoretical parts of cutting hair. I want you guys to get better. So as you see, I finished everything up there with that wall half. See there, that little area, there's this little dark area. I gotta put on the 2 and clear out some of that dark area. Now, of course, when you're fading 50-50 like this, like you gotta balance the fade in the back. So I ended up having to do that, I think later. I don't think I showed this to you guys, but I had to fix that little area in the back to where it's even with one another. But I did that later. But I'm not a big fan of fading 50-50, to be honest with you. Like if I do fade 50-50, I will create the 1-inch bar all the way around. Then I will fade one side, then the other. Then I'll go up another level, fade one side, we'll create the 1-inch guideline, then fade one side and then the other. I won't do just one bar here, another bar over there, because it can create an inconsistency if you're fading 50-50. So my recommendation is fade the 1-inch bar all the way around, then you can fade out one side, then you can fade the other, which I actually do that. I'll fade in 3 parts sometimes. So this is the haircut, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If this helped you in any way possible, share it with any other barbers that might need help with this. That's what it's all about. And I'll see you guys in the next one.